OK， 那我们接下来看一下这个工匠吧。
Make sure you stay away from that empty shrine. It's going to collapse at any moment.
维吉尔。
Ah, a new face. Salve, and welcome to a little community. My name's impossible to pronounce for most people, so you can just call me Virgil. You arrived on a sad day, friend. What with Julia's death? I wish we could have met under better circumstances.
我们就一个一个问吧。
Well, I'm an architect. Or at least I was back in Rome. That's probably too grandiose a term to describe what I do here. Help out with repairs and try to stop old buildings from collapsing on people, that kind of thing. But you probably don't want to hear about the ingenious architecture or mysterious history of this place.
讲这个历史吧。
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Some of these shrines were constructed hundreds of years ago, which means Romans have been arriving here for at least that long. But there's one thing that puzzles me. The oldest shrine in this avenue isn't Roman at all. It's Greek.
最古老的一座神殿，是希腊的神殿。
I'm not sure. It could mean that the Romans who first started building here were just copying Greek architecture, which they do all the time. Or it could mean that there were Greeks living and worshipping here before the Romans arrived. Which begs the interesting question, who really built this place? And could it be far older than any of us imagine? If only there was a way we could talk to the people who came here before us. The stories they could tell.
做城市的建筑。
Gladly. Personally, my favorite thing about this place is the aqueducts. Those series of adjoining arches. They're an ingenious feat of Roman engineering with a very practical purpose. They take fresh water coming from outside the city and distribute it all across the chasm. It's funneled below the palace and into a cistern beneath the great temple. Some of it flows down into another cistern beneath the villas, and the rest is funneled to the shrine of Proserpina, where it fills the lake, and allows us to fish and farm.
高架渠把水带到这个城市里，那我们可以用它来逃出去吗？
Hey, not so loud. Just talking about that could anger the gods for all we know. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you'd have to find a way inside somehow. Just, please, try to be a bit more discreet about it.
覆水难收，找到进入蓄水池的方法。那悬崖上的神庙是怎么回事
You mean the Great Temple? This one's a bit of a mystery. Given the way it's positioned so prominently, looking down on us, it's clear that whoever built it felt it was the most important temple in the city. Unfortunately, someone else went out of their way to keep its purpose a mystery. You see, usually a temple is dedicated to a particular god, like Proserpina or Diana or Apollo. Usually, that god is obvious. But in this case, it's unknown. There's an obelisk out the front, which probably used to bear the name of this unknown god. But it appears some barbarian defaced it. And of course we can't get inside because it's locked up tighter than the Temple of Saturn in Rome. And that contains the treasury. So we're all left wondering, which god is that temple dedicated to? And could it be the one responsible for the Golden Rule? Unless somebody figures out a way inside, I suppose we'll never know. Of course.
你知道出去的路吗？
You wouldn't believe how often the new ones ask that question. But I'd tell you the same thing I tell everyone else. There are much worse places to live out your days. You might have a few sleepless nights thinking about the Golden Rule. But once you get used to the fear, knowing that a single slip-up could cost you everything, it's not too bad. Nothing new to me, anyway.
来这里之前就习惯了，什么意思？
Oh, I just mean I grew up in the Batavi tribe, far to the north in Novio Magus, and learned to expect a bit of hostility. They weren't nearly as tolerant as the Romans.
充满敌意的生活。怎么了吗？你对黄金法则怎么看？
Some people say it's divine, the work of a god, but I'm not so sure. It just seems so flawed to me. Like it's distinctly human. I mean, once you've been here long enough, you'll notice people doing things that just seem so wrong to you. But this so-called god doesn't seem to care, which means one of two things. Either you don't know the difference between right and wrong, or this unknown god doesn't. And I'm pretty sure I know the difference. Do you?
也许吧。
Good. Then I hope you'll agree that there are only two ways of dealing with unfair rulers. The first is to leave. The second is to remove the ruler from power. And it seems leaving may not be an option.
那要怎么做才能推翻神灵的统治呢？
Good question. It's best if I say no more, but I hope you'll give it some thought.
所以他有一些想法咯。那我看一下，遇到外面的涂鸦，为什么这个人觉得你是罪人？
Look, I haven't done anything wrong, if that's what you're thinking. Somebody just has a problem with my preference for male company.
这样，
And when you grow up in the north, as I did, in the city of Noviomagos, you expect a bit of hostility. The Batavi are not known for their tolerance. I saw enough friends killed or driven away to know the cost of not keeping your personal affairs to yourself. So I hid who I was for, what was it, nearly 10 years? Watching what I said and where I looked. But that kind of fear eats away at you slowly, until living isn't any better than the thing you were afraid of. Needless to say, since I'm now living underground, halfway across the known world with an assumed name, my openness didn't go down well among the enlightened folk of the Batavi.
真是令人难
Nice
过。
of you to say, but not necessary. In any case, the Romans are far more accepting, and among them, I get to be who I am. Or at least I thought that was the case. It seems I was wrong.
你知道是谁写的那些涂鸦吗？
It's not just graffiti. I have quite the collection of handwritten notes too. The strange thing is, I keep my personal affairs to myself. I've never really been interested in any of the men here. Not my type. So I'm not sure what I could have done to upset this person. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably one of those cultists.
邪教教徒，
Strange bunch. They insist there's only one God, and that he considers my nature a sin. Can you believe that? If there are any of them here, they won't admit it. Not since they supposedly burnt down half of Rome last year and went into hiding. All I know is if these threats keep escalating, eventually my secret admirer is going to cross a line and break the golden rule.
我帮你调查一下吧，
Really?
毕竟可能有潜在的危险性。
I didn't expect that. But thanks. It's always a pleasure to meet someone so selfless. I'm glad you arrived when you did. I'd start by figuring out who the cultists are. Or maybe ask around among the merchants here. Someone who lives or works in the forum must have seen something. But if you find them, please don't hurt or humiliate them. I suspect they're just confused.
好，想办法。那你想要投票给谁？
Malleolus is talking about loosening some of the restrictions in this place. And while it's all a bit vague, at least he has a vision. My vote isn't for sale, if that's what you're asking.
好，聊完了。
Nice to talk to you.
控诉书，一则按斯维切尔是罪人的留言，你真的想要毁掉我们所有人吗？所以他控诉的点，这边好像还有一个。我知道你是谁，想干什么，在我们所有人因为你的罪恶受难之前离开这条路。我借的箱子、钱，这是控诉书。他们可能没看见你，但我告诉你，我看见你了。 所以控诉他的
Salve!
理由就是因为他喜欢男性吗？这样会违反黄金法则吗？就是违反那个这个邪教教徒他们所信的教义的吧？那个呢？他裁缝吧，卖衣服的那个。
Greetings and salutations.
Hello.
Greetings. I'm Georgius. It gladdens me to see another foreigner in our midst. We must stick together, you and I. And I must say, my sartorial friend, your clothing is most extraordinary. Leather boots in place of sandals, trousers with precise stitching, and such a curious design. I have traveled distant trade routes from the markets of Damascus to the farms of India, and never have I seen anyone dressed quite like you. Tell me, I must know, from which exotic part of the world do you hail?
我来自已知世界的另一边。
Then you are an explorer, like me. Wonderful. You must have many stories to share. I cannot wait to hear them. We will have much time here to get to know one another. But for now, do you require assistance? I know you do not require clothing, so information perhaps? My story? How kind of you to ask. I am a tailor and I run the humble shop in the forum.
为什么要在这里开裁
You
缝
mean
店
to
呢？
say, with all the turmoil and terror of the Golden
那你
Rule
这样
and
到
so
底
few
能卖
customers,
出多少衣服
why
啊？
bother setting shop at all?
看起来确实
I'll
没必要。
tell you, it is precisely because of the Golden Rule that I wish to remind my friends of the importance of looking one's best. I say, the more of our customs we preserve down here, the more we can preserve a semblance of normality, the better our chances of keeping our heads. Don't you agree?
啊，有道理。那你怎么来这？
A good
维吉尔就
question.
没有跟我们说
A
怎么来
very
的，
good
反
question
正你是掉到河
indeed.
里吧？
And I would be happy to tell you if only I could remember it clearly myself.
那你还记得的吗？
I remember I had just been to Rome to sell an extraordinary selection of wares, and drowning in coin, I decided to celebrate my success. I rented a prestigious villa by the Tiber, invited over a few select friends, and we began making our way through some of the most exquisite wine money could buy. Quite a lot of it, in fact. Now, I have had visions and awoken in strange places before. I have even found myself naked in the desert sands more than once, but none of that compares to this. This time, I remember people screaming, then falling into a void as empty as time before creation, gasping for air, and then nothing. When I regained my faculties, I was lying naked by the banks of the Tiber, gods know how many miles from my villa.
所以你顺着台伯河漂流下，
Indeed. I'm lucky I was carrying a little extra weight. I believe it kept me afloat. In any case, it seems I'd been rescued and resuscitated by a benevolent stranger. I went to find firewood for his campfire, stumbled across a cave, and discovered that trapdoor temple. And here I am. Anything you like.
那这些掉到河里来到这边的人呢，有哪些共同点呢？你知道怎么出去吗？
Not so loud. What are you playing at?
为什么要那么紧张？
Have you not been told about the last attempt?
最后的企图。
Oh, then I suppose this duty falls to me. Ah, it is a long story.
好，请说。
Of course, the first question any of us asks when we first arrive is, how do I escape? It is only natural after all. And scaling the chasm wall is out of the question, for it is simply too steep and too far. But as they say, if the wind fails, use the oars. And here the second option is to leave the way we came in, through the shaft above the bathhouse.
哦，就是我们穿越时空之前
But if
掉
one
进来
gathered
的那
up
个
enough
竖
wood,
井嘛。
one could make a series of ladders and climb one's way out.
那为什么没人这
They
么做呢？
have. I am getting to that. There was an attempt made by resourceful fellows who lived here some years ago. They even decided to keep records of their escape attempt for posterity. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, as soon as they began to carry the first ladder down the hallway, they heard a godlike voice shake the entire city, and that, tragically, is where their tale ends. So it seems that to merely attempt escape is to invite the wrath of whichever god oversees this place, and so I say it is best to not even discuss it aloud.
神圣的声音撼动城市，在他们想要逃出去的时候，你对黄金法则怎么看呢？
Ah, yes. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. As a Greek, this is nothing new to me. It is how our gods operate.
希腊怎么说？
Have you not heard the tale of the god Hades? He was the first to learn this dreadful lesson when he abducted Persephone and imprisoned her in the underworld. When Demeter, the mother of Persephone, learned of this, she did not punish Hades, the guilty one. Instead, she changed the climate of Earth so that it became hot and dry. Nothing grew. The grain turned to empty husks and the rivers dried up. Innocent people died by the tens of thousands until at last the other gods were forced to act lest they have no worshippers left. So yes, we know this rule. This has always been the case. The golden rule has merely brought it into focus.
我们能做些什么？
If we are to survive, I say we must each heed the simple wisdom of Thales of Miletus, first of the 7 sages of Greece, who said, "Avoid doing what you would blame others for doing."
倘若一件事别人做了，你会责怪，你自己也不应该去做这件事。换成中文来说就是己所不欲，勿施于人。说起来容易，做起来难。
Regrettably, I think you are correct, my friend. For even if 99% of us adopt this principle, that will never be enough. Sadly, no matter how well we protect ourselves, the life's work of many good people can be undone in the blink of an eye by a single selfish act. Ah, the voice of experience. I am sorry for your loss, my friend. But on a lighter note, I will say one thing for the golden rule. For all their grim and haunting poses, these golden statues do make magnificent models for my clothing, do they not?
等一下，你
That,
准备
my
把它跳
friend,
投给
is
谁？
quite the dilemma. But after some reflection, I'm leaning toward voting for Malleolus.
最近问到
I
几
do
个都
not
是要
enjoy the
投
thought
给
of another visit from Domitius if I voted the
麦
wrong
列勒
way.
斯的比较多诶，投错票多米提乌斯。
But of course,
你知道是谁在威胁维吉尔吗？
this is troubling, is it not? I'm afraid I have no idea. It is ridiculous though, Virgil is a fine man. But my young friend Fabia confided in me that she saw someone leaving graffiti on his shop front last night. Perhaps you should ask her about it.
法比亚 ，OK。那么我想想哦，他是希腊人。刚才建筑师维齐尔提到说，最古老的神殿是希腊神殿。然后经过他这一番提醒之后，这个黄金法则是不是比较像接近以希腊人的神话观点，来做规则的呢？不是以罗马的法律，而是以更接近希腊那边的，有可能吧？
I hope that our paths cross again soon, my friend.
来，先看一下你叫什么。没什么东西可以互动。箱子、钱、燃料，从植物和昆虫中提取出来的。别的东西吗？空的。是什么？陶瓷碗。考古学家眼力，装满尿的陶瓷碗，利用其中含有的氨来清洗和漂白衣物。你那个时候就知道氨可以用来漂白啊，这么厉害。
Greetings and salutations.
他们都会转头看我们。 身体不会动，就只有脑袋特别灵活，太神奇了。那我们要找的爸比啊，他也是商人嘛，商人不就是4家店里吗？没看到人呢、欸，就这个吗？奥皮乌斯，这个人没能写完，没看到那个啊，没看到面包店的商人，先存个档。你吗？在跟我说话的？诶
Help! You have to do something! A man arrived in the baths. A real nasty sort, with his face all covered up. And he's got a weapon. You have to do something, or he's gonna break the golden rule.
新来的人吗？慢着，你是谁？
Fabia, but now's not the time.
你说是法
Are
比
you
亚？
going to help or not?
怎么办？我又没有武器。
None of us do. The magistrate made us throw them all into the chasm. So now this man's bow is the only one in the city. You'll just have to improvise.
找个人工具临时顶一下。啊，我会想办法的。
Thank you. He's still in there, somewhere.
还在浴
I
场里
have
面
to
了，
hide.
还没有进
Find
来。
me in this empty shrine when it's over.
空神殿不行。那不要去。
What? Why?
我有不好的预感。
All right, fine. Come and find me in my bakery
果然是
instead.
面包房的
Please
人
be。careful.
空神殿，后面这个吗？什么？警告！注意，神殿随时可能坍塌。不然那么写了，那就不要去吧。所以那边是浴场嘛，就是有那个竖井会掉下来的那个地方。他好像没有武器啊。还是先不要贸然行动好了。诶，地上什么？杜丽的笔记，杜丽的留言声称自己是无辜的。诶 ，Hello， 你是
A new
Don't you
face,
just love
are they?
springtime?
And may Vesta watch over you.
我怎么越来越
I'm
等过来？
Aqueducts. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit?
伊奎西亚。
Oh my. I take it people are quite direct where you're from. I suppose it's quite charming in its own way. Usually, however, you wouldn't simply march up to a Vestal priestess and without due formality or courtesy ask, "What is your story?"
你是第一个吐槽我的人，抱歉啊。
The proper approach would be to arrange an introduction through a mutual acquaintance in high office, by which time you would already know how to address me. And then you would find a way to satisfy your curiosity rather more indirectly. But to be honest, I've often thought what an unnecessarily formal way to communicate that is. So, let's do it your way. You just keep being yourself and ask whatever you like. It'll be a refreshing change.
Refishing，你怎么来的？
You know, I'm not entirely sure. But what about you? How did you end up here?
一个叫凯伦的年轻女子吧，不省人事的我从河里救上来，把我送到这
Karen, you say? And nothing about that name seemed odd to you.
在这个时代，凯伦是一个很奇怪的名字。
Older. I see.
哎呀，我不小心说，
I wonder if... No,
哦，请说。
I apologize. I don't mean to be cryptic. It's just that you've got me thinking.
怎么音乐突然变？
Have you spoken with any of the others about how they arrived here too? I really think you should. Go around and ask them what they remember and see if you notice any.
啊，你不跟我讲你的吗？我知道他们都是从河里掉被捞上来的。那你呢？
I know. I just don't want to see what happened to Livia happen to you too.
我发现有个共同
You
性，
have? Then what is it?
这样所有居民询问他们的深色故事，找出至少3个共同点。有些人提到了一条河。
Yes, I understand many of our friends were carried here by a river current.
还有更多的共同性吗？目前只发现了。
There are definitely some common threads there, but I think we'll need at least a few to ensure we're not just seeing coincidences. Keep asking people how they wound up here. I don't want us to rush to any conclusions yet. Livia's fate weighs heavily on my mind, and dictates we should be sure. Yes, you should ask the others first.
那你知道离开这里的方
I
法吗
don't, I'm afraid. It seems to me we're exiled here until the gods judge us, one way or another.
你对黄金
I'm
法则
quite
怎么
sure
看？
it's the work of the gods, which is strange because they've never been particularly concerned with our misdeeds, as long as we've kept the peace of the
诸
gods.
神的安
We
宁。
ask for blessings, for good health, bountiful harvest, military victory, and in return, we offer praise, wine, incense, or animals. But here, it seems they require much more of us. I find myself reminded of an especially pertinent tale from our great poet Ovid in his epic Metamorphoses. Would you like to hear it? It is rather long.
Metamorphoses。好，请说。
Wonderful. It goes like this. Baucis and Philemon were an old married couple living a humble life in a small town. One night, the town gets a visit from a couple of vagrants. They go from door to door, asking for a place to stay the night. Of course, being vagrants, they're turned away sharply from house after house, 1,000 in all, until finally they come to the little cottage where Baucis and Philemon lived. Now, the kind old couple had very little to offer, but nevertheless, they invite these strangers into their house and offer them food, wine, and a place to stay. Immediately, the guests make themselves at home. They begin gulping down the old couple's wine, so much so that Baucis, the old lady, begins to worry they're going to run out. And then she notices something strange. Her wine pitcher keeps refilling itself, as if by magic. Realizing only a select few possess such powers, says to her husband, Philemon, I think these men are gods in disguise. Immediately, the couple begins apologizing for offering such coarse wine, and the vagrants metamorphosize and reveal themselves to be Jupiter, the king of the gods, and Mercury, the trickster god. They confide they didn't mind the meager offerings. They were just pleased that someone in the town offered them hospitality. Then Jupiter says to them, You have passed our test, but everyone else in this city failed, so we are going to destroy this place and everyone in it, except you, who we will grant a wish. So old Baucis and Philemon escape up into the mountains safely, and they receive their wish, which is for eternity together. Meanwhile, Jupiter carries through with his threat and wipes that city off the map. Some say the moral of that story is that we must all honor the sacred rituals of guest friendship, the reciprocal obligations owed between hosts and guests. But I like to think it's that we should always show compassion for those less fortunate than ourselves.
故事的意义是，众神随时可以责罚我们，只要是我们没有通过考验，而根本不必告诉我们规则是什么。同意。
I'm pleased to hear it.
我们就先不要针锋相对了。选举的情
It
况怎么
must
样？
be completed by dusk, just the same as any other official business. It'll be between Sentius, the incumbent, and Malleolus, the challenger. Why do you ask?
有什么有资格投票？男性吧
All。of the male citizens who are willing and able to attend, unless they're running, of course.
这时候女性没有投票权。
That's just the way it's always been, I'm afraid. It never sat right with me, either. There are some women who can vote, Vestal priestesses like myself, but in this case, given my role overseeing the election, I've decided to abstain. I can't allow the perception that I'm being anything but fair and independent, but if it's any consolation, there are other ways to influence the outcome of an election.
其他方式可以影响选举结果。 比如说
By using whatever gifts the gods gave you. Nothing untoward, of course.
啊，总是有手段是吧？那你说监督是
I'm
什么？
responsible for announcing it and making sure the procedures are followed.
我可以提名其他候选人
You
吗？
can, assuming they're eligible and willing to accept the nomination.
什么时候开始
As
选
I
举？
said, I'm planning to hold it before dusk. But I suppose I could hold it sooner, if there's a good reason.
提早举行。那先不要了，
As you wish.
不急不急。
Certainly.
好，
Come back to me once you've acquainted yourself with the rest of our
奎西
neighbors.
呀，祭司。啊，你怎么被关在这
Hello?
？Hello，哎，
Hello?
你谁呀？
My name's Dooley. I live here now because I got in trouble and they said they had to lock me up.
为什么？
I don't know. I don't remember things so good. I think it's just because I was looking for treasure.
他讲话怎么那么慢啊？有人认为你要偷东西吗？
Yes. But I wasn't. I was just looking.
就这样。
They said I did it more than once. But I can't remember things so good. Then they called me mean names. They called me a liar, Billy.
麻烦，他一直强调他记性不太好哎，
Yes. They said I have to live here now
你不太识字。
and gave me this letter. But I'm not good with words. Do you think you could read it for me?
真蒂乌斯给杜丽的信，行政官真蒂乌斯解释，他把杜丽关起来是为了防止他非法入侵他人的财产。而且这封信是因为你对所谓的失落的财宝的痴迷行为已经到了无可救药的地步，还屡屡犯下反社会行为。虽然我同情你的困境，理解你的守卫汉尼拔几周前刚去世，但我希望你能记住一个重要的信息：你所寻找的财宝并不存在。鉴于你的记性不好，很可能是你记错了。更重要的是，因为你已经在数个场合被抓到非法侵入，包括严格限制任何居民进入的蓄水池区，我不得不得出一个结论：你是这个社区的麻烦，必须限制你的自由，以免你打破黄金法则。希望我这封信能够帮助你回忆你被监禁的原因，以免你错上加错。我提到了好多感觉可以划重点的地方。失落的财宝并不存在。守卫汉尼拔刚去世，记性是真的不好是吧？然后非法入侵蓄水池区。OK，
What does it say?
哼，
My treasure.
什么财
My
宝？
friend Hannibal used to look after me. And he said he always would. But then, he died.
他的朋友，
It was very
他
sad.
说守卫，他说
He
朋
said
友。
if anything ever happened to him, I had to find something very precious hidden away. He gave me this key and made me promise to keep it safe until I found the treasure. But I couldn't find it. All I remember is he said something about the cisterns. But when I went up to the high one, they put me in here. Now nobody looks after me. Except my friend Galerius.
加列里
And
博士，
Ek,
伊奎
the
祭司，
priestess lady. She's a nice lady.
你把钥匙给我。
Hannibal said I shouldn't give it to anyone I didn't trust. But maybe you could help me get out of here. Then I would trust you a lot.
我会和行政官谈谈把你放出去的事，然后选选看。
Galerius already tried that. He said the magistrate wouldn't listen, no matter what.
哦，是啊，第二个吧，或许可以把你弄出
What
去。
about the rules? I don't want everyone to get in trouble because I was bad.
你要我选这个是吧？选为新的行政官了。
Like Galerius? He's nice. I like Galerius. He made me a doll and everything. If you help make him magistrate, he can get me out of here, and I can give you the key to my treasure. Hannibal said it was in the cisterns.
水池。
I can't remember what it was, just that it was way up high and very precious.
在很高的地方很珍贵。好，我想办法的。你知道出
You're
去的路
going
吗？
to let me out of here? Really?
我没什么在问话一样。
Please. I hate it here. It makes me
现在
very
好像不是跟
sad.
他聊天的好时候。啊，黄金
Gold?
法则，
You mean treasure?
老问法则啦。算了，
Bye bye.
拜拜。锁上的门。喂，
Hello. Have we
啊，
met before?
2秒钟你就忘了我是谁，厉害！
Bye bye.
这健忘症也太强了吧！它后面放的那个石碑上面应该也是一些黄金法则内容。那地上这张纸是什么？好，不能去看，挤不进去。选个档。有个小剧场。现在时间，他说黄昏的时候要选举嘛。要我帮忙啊！你要说要怎么帮啊？哎，这有涂鸦，下水道口盖。乌尔皮乌斯、艾森蒂拉，然后被改成了乌尔皮乌斯杀了圣蒂拉。这涂鸦都是同一个人写的吗？旧卷轴概要：一张古卷轴，作者列举了黄金法则不存在的数个理由。黄金法则的神话。小杜洛塔斯，按照传统，我必须先向此方之神献上敬意，因有他的庇佑，我们才得享今日的繁荣与宁静。但此时我却要违背传统，因他加诸在我们身上的戒律逾越边界，压迫人性，不敬也罢。你在发表到一半的时候，就突然变成黄金的吗？这么惨。有什么东西吗？没怎么。这条小巷子可以走。2条路，这里是。先走上面的好了，加快速度，加快速度。诶，这里爬吗？你这个像蝴蝶的样式，不能爬。还是先走这了。上面不知道要爬哪里去，我们先试着看一下，往有比较多人的地方走。进来的时候经过这里，对吧？ 暗啊！你挡着门啊！哎，里面有死人骨头哎！你可以借过一下。有别的地方可以绕进去吗？另外一条路。快说啊，要怎么帮我啊？哦，这里是
Galerius?
Horatius?
Oh.
Looking a bit troubled there.
Still no sign of Scintilla. And I haven't slept right in
I
3 weeks.
love your
Don't be
clothes.
too
但是你
hard
不要
on
不要，
yourself.
So
先别
From
跟我
what I
讲话。
hear,
exotic.
nobody saw it coming.
我要听他的闲聊
Anyway,
什么？
I thought you Stoics weren't supposed to worry about things you can't
斯多葛学
control.
派。
Yeah, but I keep thinking, what if there is something I can do? What if she's out there somewhere suffering, waiting to be found?
Sounds like you're torturing yourself. Leave that for the gods. Try to relax, get some rest. Tomorrow's a new day.
I suppose you're right.
还找人呢，
What now?
还没听
I'm
过
a
你的故
legionary
事
of the 1st Italica, but there's not a lot of fighting down here. So the magistrate has assigned me other duties. I act as the magistrate's right-hand man, keeping an eye on his daughters. Daughter, I should say. And the others, and making sure they're all behaving.
啊，保姆
I，also keep a register of new arrivals.
你怎么来到这？
I'm from Liguria, up north originally. I was doing all right for myself. 12 years into my service. Had a nice girl lined up for when it was all over. Not anymore. She's probably figured I'm long gone and moved on by now. I try not to think about it. My commander sent me to deliver a message to Rome. While I was there, I thought I'd do something nice for my girl and pick up a little pendant from a silversmith. That's when the crowd started flooding through the streets, shouting fire. People were screaming, trampling each other. Then some Genetricum fugitor tried to take advantage of the chaos and pinch my pendant. I remember chasing him through the crowds, down towards the river. And then, nothing. Blacked out and woke up near here. No idea how I ended up floating so far downriver. But I'm fortunate to be alive, I suppose. Ah, don't be. As Seneca the Younger said, difficulty strengthens the mind, as labor does the body. That said, Scintilla's disappearance has been more difficult than I'd care to admit.
Fortunes smile on you, sister.
居民登记簿
I。don't see why not. Just make sure I get it back by tomorrow.
哦，我们终于有这个名单是吧？不然我怎么记得住每一个人是谁啊？按字母顺序记录城中每个人身份的登记簿。奥雷利亚、克劳迪亚、丘迪修斯、多米提乌斯，他的中文翻译有时候字会不太一样啊。杜利乌斯、伊奎西亚，平民跟贵族的分别。加列里乌斯，没有，字是一样的。多米提乌斯，就我们现在面前这个人。看一下，汉尼拔，外乡人，拾荒。住在贫民窟，死在蓄水池中。哦，要选举了。哦，这是加利里乌斯，就是那个。
Cerberus lifts his triple head
等一下，
and lets out his threefold braying.
Livia,
陈哥打，
would you stop muttering like
今天
the
去看
deer
选举
over
吧
a。cauldron? You'll scare away my custom.
等等，我可以暂停看一下登记簿。 看看，这么卷的，好有趣。真谛巫师是现在的行政官，贵族，别墅上去，有什么备注？乌尔皮乌斯是我们有看到那个涂鸦嘛？麦略勒斯的在役人，在役人是什么意思？真谛啊，贵族、学生为安全着想被限制离开别墅。真谛拉，哦，就是真谛巫师2个女儿嘛，真谛还是真谛拉？我们之前在行政官家里看到的是，他有2个女儿嘛，一个是被收养的，然后一个应该是亲生的。麦略勒斯职责是放贷，哦，备注不可信。哇，你还可以这样写，不可信。奈维亚把自己锁在宫殿里，他是医生，没有住处。看护卢克丽霞，就是我们看到现在代替医生做治疗的。利维亚理发师，利维亚就是我们刚才看那个嘛，那个有点疯的那个，我们刚进来的时候也听到他讲话。厄雷提乌斯也是守卫。哇，你们人名为什么都要取得这么像啊？他很威严。刚才是酒馆的奥雷利亚酒馆老板。好了，现在有投票权的男性们，我要去投选举了。鱼露。要在哪剧场吗？我是女性哦，我的角色是选女性。如果是男性的话，是不是也有投票权啊？但我现在没有。维吉尔，这个时候来认一下人好了。这是我还不认识守卫。加列里乌斯是农夫，就是我们进来遇到的第一个人。李修师。
Citizens, we have a quorate body of voters gathered here to elect the city's magistrate. The candidates are Sextus Sentius Imperiosus and Marcus Malleolus Gurges. As agreed, we shall dispense with ballots and candidates will abstain from voting. Let's make this quick. As I say your name, call your vote. I'll start with you, Horatius.
Sentius, of course.
Georgius.
Malleolus.
Dacius.
Malleolus.
Galerius.
I abstain. I'm just here to observe.
Virgil.
Malleolus.
Rufius.
Malleolus.
And finally, Domitius.
Malleolus. Who else?
Citizens, you have made your decision. Your new magistrate is Marcus Malleolus Gurges.
Hail, Magistrate Malleolus. I said, Hail, Magistrate Malleolus. That's more like it.
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. And now, I make this solemn promise to you, good citizens. Under my leadership, you will finally enjoy the freedom you deserve. No more shall you walk on eggshells, fearing simply to live and breathe, because the tyrant Sentius told you it was forbidden. For my first act as magistrate, I hereby announce a day of celebration to mark the end of an era. The myth of the Golden Rule is no more.
The Golden Rule is real, you idiot.
For his attempt to deceive us all, Sentius is hereby found guilty of treason against the Empire.
What? I have committed no crimes.
你根本不知道真相啊，还说他骗你。
His sentence: to fight for his life in gladiatorial combat against Domitius. Here and now for your entertainment.
Wow.
You have no idea what you're doing. You're going to get us all killed.
Wait. I exercise my right as a Vestal priestess to pardon him. I will not allow you to do this.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius, ignore her.
哇，一上位就开始。
This is insanity. You'll doom us all.
Lies! It is time the Golden Rule was exposed for what it is, a children's fable, exploited by a treacherous leader to instill fear in all of us.
This is why he's in his gladiator gear. They've been planning this all along.
Shut up, all of you. The magistrate has spoken. I'm going to enjoy killing you, old man.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
It's real. The Golden Rule is real.
哇，他人跑那么快，他已经要去开启神殿了。他一定要打开啊，不然就没有机会有新的人进来。哇！我刚刚没有仔细听哎，刚刚那个神圣的话语，所谓神圣的话语是什么？他说了什么？没有注意到。啊，所以如果那个麦略他当选的话，势必就会变成这样的结局咯。所以我们又回溯了吗？
Salve, friend. I'm...
哦，果然我们回溯了。
Oh, Bacchus, how much did I drink last night? Sorry to have bothered you. Oh, and since you seem to be in a hurry, you should try out this device I made. Worked real hard on it.
什么？飞索把手。
Just attach the pulley to the rope over the lake and hang on to the handles. If it works, it'll be faster than walking. And if it doesn't work, worst thing that can happen is you'll take a swim in the lake. I haven't quite summoned the courage to test it myself. But don't worry, it's completely safe. Probably.
Okay.
All right. See you around.
好，按下暂停。所以我们现在多了一个时间限制哦，在今天黄昏选举之前，我们一定要想办法，要么是改变选民们的投票，哇，拉票，想办法拉票，要么就是有什么办法可以阻止选举进行。所以我们不能浪费时间呢。哦，好了，变得困难一点了，那个档，好来，下一集继续。